I am pleased to introduce our architect, the great Renzo Piano. Thank you.
You probably understand, I love making buildings, but I especially love making buildings for public use. Public buildings are the essence of cities because they are places where people they enjoy the same thing.
Hasn't there been some effort to design a new Whitney building for a while?
Yes, it's been going on for decades. First, Michael Graves made an attempt, and then Rem Koolhaas did later on, and Renzo himself did a plan for Uptown. We both agreed that there wasn't the kind of space that you needed for contemporary art. A bit of a behind-the-scenes piece, Charlie, in that we were interviewing a number of architects. Leonard said, we should ask 1 or 2 questions to every architect as a constant. We asked, what is your favorite museum building in the world? Every architect named one of Renzo's buildings. Leonard turned and said, why aren't we talking to Renzo Piano? Exactly. That's true.
You cannot do this profession without passion. You have to put yourself entirely there. Architecture is about all those things coming together. It's about social life. It's about urbanity, a sense of community. It's about art. It's about poetry. It's about sense of flying, fighting against gravity, trying to create something that is playing with light, and that's poetry.
Let's talk about the relationship between a museum, this museum, and the city. You said it was important to let the city and let the street encroach.
Most museums have a frontal brand image. It's the front of the Met, the front of the Guggenheim, the front of Breuer.
Yeah, exactly.
This building is a 360-degree building. You see it from all sides. Renzo composed it from all sides.
I always thought that the building has not 3 dimensions, but 4 dimensions. And the number 4 is movement, people. Movement is part of architecture. The movement of people going out. Those stairs are really made to enjoy life. Meandering on the stair, loitering on taking your time to enjoy flying above the city. Well, I know buildings don't fly, especially this one because it weighs 28,000 tons. But the destiny of the architect is to fight against gravity all life. Actually, I believe this is the destiny of everybody, fighting against gravity all life. And this is what you have to do. When you make a public building like this for culture, you have to be accessible, easy to reach.
How did you find the place?
It was a place that the city had reserved at the south end of the High Line. They wanted a cultural anchor for the High Line. We were thrilled because it's very hard to find horizontal property in Manhattan. There just isn't much space. We wanted something that had a little bit of a wildness to it. It's not just all about finesse. It's not just all about elegance. It's about something a little bit rougher and a little bit wilder, a little bit connected.
The Whitney Museum originated over a century ago, just blocks from here in Greenwich Village.
Its mandate was to focus exclusively on the art and artists of this country.
The Whitney Studio Club, our first home in Greenwich Village, was a bit more modest than the 220,000 square foot Renzo Piano building we are about to dedicate.
It began in McDougal Alley, the studio of Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, an artist and an heiress of America's wealthiest family. Her support of artists was not so much born of her success, but of her profound awareness that artists, dare say more gifted artists, had far greater challenges than she.
And Mrs. Whitney was an artist first.
This was a club for artists.
It was for artists, the Whitney Studio Club.
And this idea that the building comes back home is a great idea.
All right, a couple points about him.
In 1907, my grandmother, Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, first showed the work of her fellow artists in her Greenwich Village studio. For most collectors, European art was all that mattered. She was passionately determined to get commissions herself and also to build audiences for American art.
It was, as you said, based in Greenwich Village, and that connection to the artists, whether it was Hopper or Calder or Sloan, this was really the place that championed their work, not just the Picassos.
The Whitney is really sending the same message. You're telling them that their story is part of the American story. Be inspired by the artists and performers you see and start dreaming just a little bigger. Start reaching just a little higher for yourself.
It seems to me, I was there the first night, everybody was happy about this. There was a sense of, we created something we dreamed of doing.
Yes.
And it is what we wanted to do.
This is exactly what you, as an architect, this is what you want. To have a building, to make a building that is loved by people.
And now the physical construction of this extraordinary new building is complete, and the museum is ready to receive visitors. But it will be artists who will keep it ever in motion. That is what artists do. They carry us forward into the unknown, into mystery, into wisdom, into truth.
Art and beauty makes people better people. Beauty switches on the eyes of people a special light. Beauty builds curiosity. In the same way, art makes people better people. Building for art makes city better place to stay and to live. That's the reason why it's so important to make building for beauty. And I'm pretty sure that beauty will save the world. I'm not joking. I'm sure beauty will save the world. One person at a time. So thank you for coming. The building is yours. Thank you.